Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we're back with another review to The Walking Dead. This is for the episode 13 of season 11, which was called Warlords. So this episode was a very interesting tone. I feel like it was very different than a lot of the episodes we've had throughout this season. We really kind of took a long time to kind of get to the culmination point, but now seeing that this is going to be like a two-parter sort of episode, I kind of understand why they took so long with the intro. You know, we started out with seeing Father Gabe give a sermon for the first time in a very long time. Well, we didn't start there. We actually started out with Lydia, about to leave Hilltop, but we'll come back to the Maggie and Lydia and the whole Hilltop situation in a minute. But yeah, we had a long, very long, actually, scene of Father Gabe kind of doing something that we really have never seen him do in the show, actually, now that I think about it. Like, we're aware of the fact that he's a priest. We know that he's definitely, said a prayer here or, given a Bible passage there. But for the most part, you've never really just seen him stand and like give a sermon the way we just saw in this episode. I think the purpose of that scene was to kind of give us, first of all, real insight into like how Father Gabe was in the world before, but also how the Commonwealth actually affects people when they've been there for a while, right? Like people who are, I'd say, teenagers and up when the apocalypse started, like they're going to have a real connection and a hankering almost for the normalcy of the old world, right? Because for them, that was normal. Like that's what was right. That was what felt good. That was what's familiar. So going to the Commonwealth, being back in a place where there's laws and like Aaron was saying, like movie theaters and coffee shops and yoga studios and cake places and, mundane things, including also things like a military and a government. Like, nowadays, of course, we complain about those things to some degree, but the reality is that we crave them, right? Like it's something that creates order. It's something that we understand. And, even though no government is perfect, no country is perfect, we have to admit that the reason why there is general order in the world is because we do have these systems in place. So to go back to the Commonwealth where that is back in effect and there's a semblance of safety and peace and order, it's just very appealing, especially to those people who knew what it was like to live in that before. People who are like Judith's age and younger, like they don't know any different, right? So for them, if they were out there, it's not that the Commonwealth wouldn't have anything to offer for them, but you know what I mean? It's a different type of experience, because for Judith, like we saw a couple episodes ago, she's liking the fact that she can just kind of chill, which is something she's never done before. And of course, having the social aspect she's never had, but she wouldn't have craved this. You know what I'm saying? She wouldn't know to crave it because she's never known it until now. And so, well, I mean, she did somewhat. I shouldn't say that. Alexandria is like it's like Commonwealth light. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, seeing the effect that for those people though who are older, who know what the old world was like, getting a chance to experience a taste of that again and feel like, oh my gosh, maybe, just maybe, it's possible to go back to what feels comfortable for me. You can see how people are going to slip back into who they were pre-apocalypse possibly, right? And in Father Gabe's case, afterwards when Aaron came to talk to him and said, is this an act? Like, I thought you were done with the whole thing. Because remember, Aaron was there when Father Gabe murdered the crazy guy who'd murdered his brother and wife. He saw that, in that whole episode, remember, Father Gabe said, I don't really believe in God anymore. It's not that I'm not religious. It's not that I don't think that, religion's right, but I'm just not sure that God's even there anymore. So to go from that to now seeing him give these sermons and seem like he means it, I completely understand why Aaron was like, is this real? Or is this part of an act? Are you just playing a part to fit into this society? And we hear that Father Gabe said, no, actually, like, I feel like I'm hearing God again. Like, I feel like I've reconnected it. I didn't at first, but now that I've kind of just basically, I think what he was trying to say is once my subconscious calmed down and let me trust this place, the old me started to come back in a little bit, and the old him would have, heard the voice of God. So it's very interesting to kind of see how this is shifting people. And with Aaron, again, same thing. We know when we first were introduced to Aaron all those seasons ago, his job was to go out to stragglers or to other communities and invite them to come potentially and join Alexandria. And that those people skills and that general love of people that he has, that that finally can come through again, because he's in a place now where he knows his daughter daughter is safe and that he can sleep at night and not have to worry about the next new threat that's going to jump down his throat. So he's allowed to kind of go back to what intrinsically was important to him and natural for him. So I just think it's interesting that they're kind of showing what the Commonwealth is doing for our group. And I mean, whether it's good or bad is debatable. I don't think it's a bad thing for them to get a mental and emotional break. But at the same time, one could say that might be making them a little soft, or maybe putting some blinders on their eyes to some of the other problems that are going on within that community. But of course, we see that, the reason why Aaron even showed up there was to take Father Gabriel on a mission because they were asked to go and recruit people who were holed up in a building, and they were told that, oh, it's a religious group. So that's why Father Gabe should come, because Father Gabe's a man of the cloth, and they thinking, hey, religious zealots, religious man, maybe you guys will connect. Father Gabe didn't really like the idea, of course, because I understand where he's coming from, and that not all people who are religious are the same. They have, religions have very different tenets, belief systems, and honestly, in this post-apocalyptic world where people have been through a lot of stuff, where they are religiously, even if they claim to be under the same religious banner, may not be the same. That's kind of what kicked off, from that whole opening sequence, but, going into the episode. But that kind of, before I get into like where that ended, we also started the episode with Lydia deciding to throw in the towel with Hilltop. And we saw in the last episode, she was asking, was it Aaron or no, she was asking Daryl, like, when do you know when to give up? Like, when do you know it's enough? When do you walk away? And he was basically like, you got to decide that for yourself, and you'll know when that time comes. And so apparently that time has come for her. And they mentioned that a lot of people have been slowly milling away from Hilltop. And that's understandable, right? Like I said, people, especially people who are older, who remember what the old world was like, it's really just appealing to have this semblance of what they know, but also just the safety and all the other, like, I think even beyond all that, they're just thinking safety, food, running water, medicine, things that just make our lives much more livable today. And that's something that Maggie can't offer and probably won't be able to offer for a very long time. And so, she was setting out on her own, and we saw that, her little friend there has got a crush. So he decided to kind of go along with her. And then, of course, things kicked off where, we had this guy show up who we later on found out was with the Commonwealth, but then realized something very, very wrong was afoot. And due to that, they kind of discovered the truth potentially about the Commonwealth. But what I thought was interesting was on the car ride that they were having to this place, to the checkpoint, we hear Lydia asking Maggie, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you pushing away all this help that would really benefit us? And Maggie, of course, like, I was right. I called the fact that Maggie grew up farm girl. Most people who grow up in farms know that, you go through rough times. It's definitely a life of a lot of work and grit. And Maggie's not scared of that. And like I said, it also gives you a lot of independence. And so I wasn't surprised she launched into a story about her dad and her family and the farming community. But as I said in the episode, and Lydia followed up with, Lydia did not have the luxury that Maggie did. Maggie grew up, all of her formative years were in a loving household with people who loved her and a community that loved her. And even though they went through struggles, like, it wasn't like the kind of struggles where like they had nothing, like literally they were still in a house. She still had a bed. She still had food on the table. She still had someone looking out for her best interests. So Maggie's hard times are, they were trying, but I wouldn't call them hard, versus Lydia, who was like, no, I was pushed into a life of literal like groveling. Like, I was in a life where I couldn't even own like clean clothes. I had to wear dead people on my body and eat crap and worry about whatever creep might be trying to hurt me at any given moment. And a mom that used to abuse me. Like, please do not tell me about struggle, Maggie. She's like, I have been having to live on on the edge of my seat my entire life. And here's an opportunity for me to finally understand what it's like to just go to sleep at night and be able to rest and wake up and know that, like she said, every day will be the same. Like, a lot of us complain sometimes about the mundaneness of life, but honestly, it's a luxury for those of us who get to experience it. So I completely understood where she was coming from. And I think it was a good wake up call for Maggie. Like, honey, just because you decided to walk the hard road does not mean that all of us want to walk the hard road. Right. And also, I mean, I understand where Maggie was coming from too. Like, she was saying, it's true that not everything that's easy is good, but again, she should be talking to different people and figuring out what works best for them, or at least seeing if there was a way that she could have maneuvered some kind of, pseudo alliance initially, and then figure out whether or not, like a probationary period or something like that, to figure out whether or not it would be a long-term relationship that would work. But anyways, in the end, as we saw as the episode progressed, Maggie was right. There is something very off. And again, that freaking politician psychopath, of course, he's nuts. So, I think you can pick up pretty quickly if you have a good gut instinct that you can't trust a man like that. And unsurprisingly, he was the mind behind what happened at the building. I am not sure what he was trying to accomplish by getting them killed, because clearly I think the man who was leading, their leader who got killed, I'm pretty sure he was in the midst of saying that when he showed up, the weapons and everything were left there. Like, basically it was a plant. Whole objective was to, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of what the objective is. I'm still not sure why he would have set that up in the first place. Maybe, because I thought, well, maybe he wants to get rid of Aaron and Father Gabe, but why? Like, they're actually integrating to the society and they're happy to be there. Like, isn't that what you want? You want sheep who are invested in the community. Although maybe he wanted to make sure that they would not, oh, that could be another thing, is that making them go on this mission. I mean, it seems elaborate, but making them go on this mission and then fall in line when they saw the bad thing that happened, that's one way to ensure their loyalty, despite the fact that they are quite strong-willed. But I just feel like that's very elaborate, right? To go and set up the convoy, set up, a situation where like dozens of people are going to die. Like, that's a lot just to convert 2 people. So that can't be it. I'm not sure. We know the politician's up to a lot. He definitely has his own nefarious plan that he's probably been plotting for a while now. But yeah, I'm not surprised that he set things up and then sent this guy in there as, to go and clean up that mess. And we saw that brought us to Negan, where Negan's been all this time since it's all gone down. We know that he left, well, I think Showtime a few months earlier. So I guess he found these people and he's been holed up with them. And it looks like him and that girl, whoever she is, are pretty close. Negan kind of has that look like he trusts her. So that's a good thing. So interesting that kind of came around to bring him back in. But yeah, we ended the episode on them basically having to escape alive if they can. I mean, I think that they have a good chance just because most of these soldiers are not necessarily the most, well trained, but obviously, Mr. Crazy Smile who kicked a corpse is a problem because he is a highly trained killer from the sounds of things. So he's not going to be taken out with a few punches. And now we have Maggie and Lydia, and I can't remember his name there, as well as Negan and Father Gabe. So there's quite a few people in the building. We'll have to see if they're able to dismantle everything and get this guy before he gets them. But I'm also wondering what they're going to do with this information, who's going to believe them at this point, because we all know who orchestrated it. And I just don't think Mr. CIA is going to give him up, even if he does get caught. So yeah, the plot thickens here. I'm not sure how it's going to go down. I don't even know if Aaron can go. I don't even know if Aaron and Father Gabe can go back at this point, but their kids are still in the Commonwealth, so I feel like they're going to have to. And so the stakes are getting high here. Things are getting a little more personal, a little bit more scary. But, like I said, we know that there was another side to this whole community, this whole facade that they're putting out there. And this episode started to really peel back that seedy underbelly. And again, unsurprisingly, we got a little politician there who seems to be the one who's pulling the strings and running things on that side of it. So like I said, there's got to be a culmination point to all of it. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm very eager to find out what it is. But we're going to have to keep watching to find out. So hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next video.